Hi guys, I'm Irene, this is Perpetually Paperback, and today I'm going to be talking about the Radium Girls. And it will be, I don't want to say a comparison between the book and the Netflix movie because honestly, they're incomparable. Like it is not at all a comparison that can be made. But I'm going to be talking about both in this video. Okay, so this is the Radium Girls. You guys, if there's like a subheading, subheading, I think it's a subheading. I never get it right. So yeah, so this is the Radium Girls, the dark story of America's shining women by Kate Moore. This is a nonfiction book, and it is about real events that happen to real women. It follows several women who worked for the Radium Dial Company in Orange, New Jersey, and Ottawa, Ottawa, Illinois. Okay, so basically the premise, or well, not the premise, like these are the true events that happened. So, these women, and many of them were like young. This happened in the 20s, so it was like early 20s. And what they did was they used radium-based paint to paint the dials of like military dials essentially, and it's what made them like light up and glow green. So that was what they did. That was their contribution to the First World War, where many of them actually got started in the factories because all the boys were out fighting. So these women start working for this company, and there are certain weird things that take place, and at first it's just like a couple cases here and there, but then it becomes many more of them, and things are happening that are much more gruesome. For example, at one point, one of the ladies like pulls out a piece of her jaw. Like they're just deteriorating at exponential levels, and they really don't understand what's happening at first. So the better part of the beginning of the book kind of introduces these women to you, and mostly on the New Jersey side first. It's kind of where it began. And then they go into, kind of talk a little bit about their families and gradually start to tell you as things start happening. There's one lady that ends up actually passing very quickly, and she happened to have two younger sisters who everyone in the family worked for the company. So eventually, these women, many things start happening and more quickly. So it seems to be about 5 to 7 years after they work at the Radium Dial Company, at the American Radium. It's American Radium. They end up experiencing symptoms, and some of them, like I said, are deteriorating really quickly to the point where their bones are disintegrating. So they start to do studies, or they start to go to doctors, and as more and more things are happening to these women, the doctors are actually putting it together. So then it becomes about halfway through, the book then changes into starting to explain what the company has done to hide how dangerous and how exposed all these women have been. Also, they start to do studies that are meant to remove the responsibility from them, from the company itself, right? And this was at a time, right? This was as we're moving in, like we're not even in the 30s at this point. We're starting to get, like, there wasn't anything like workers' comp. There wasn't any, like, these women could not even sue the company for damages. They couldn't afford their medical bills anymore. They were barely even allowed to say, like, at this point, they're just fighting for people to believe that they are being poisoned by radium. The first girl, they diagnosed her of syphilis, which pisses me off. Because in history, if no one knew what it was, obviously it was syphilis. You know what? To doctors back then. A lot of things I don't want to say right now. Moving on. So the second half of the book is kind of talking about they end up going into a trial and what happens in the trial, and the literal trials of these women and all the medical issues that they're experiencing. It is fantastic. It is harrowing. It is gruesome. Like there's some, I would say, like, true content warning for this one. If you cannot handle a reading about just horrible atrocities that are taking place specifically in the mouth area too, like with a lot of like jaw, mouth issues. If you're squeamish and like have problems with that, this one is really gonna hit you hard, because there's quite a bit of that as they're going through all like what happened to all of these women. It just, the way that they find out how radium actually affects each of them is mind-blowing. Like super cool on a science, like this is how it worked, and like the way that the chemical worked, like super cool. Horrible that we had to find out at the expense of these women who were real people. I'm gonna post pictures throughout this video of all of the women, because they're online, they're there, they're real, they're just they just paved the way for us to have rights as employees, just to be careful, to just like their certain like industrial toxin laws that basically came directly derived from this. So I would 100% recommend this book. This was literally one of my favorite books of the month. It's long for a nonfiction. I mean, it's long for a book period. Oh, hey, look, bookmark. Oh, I need that. It's long for a book in general. It's about 400 pages, just under 400 pages. It's very long for a nonfiction, if that's not something you're into. I would say if this one's a good one to listen to. However, it's honestly just the mouth stuff, all the things that were happening to this woman is just hard to listen to, hard to read. So just be aware of that. But well worth a read. It is so good. Now, if this might be a little too long, a little too intense for you, there is a Netflix version, and Joey King is one of the actors in it. I would have thought it was, like, my personal opinion is I think it's a little bit of a young looking casting. However, she does a fantastic job. I think she did a really good job. And it's accurate. These women were super young. They were in their 20s. So the fact that they cast a young actress is wildly accurate. Also, like I said, she does a fantastic job. It wasn't a bad movie at all. It was good. The only argument, or the only thing I would say against is like, I don't even know that this even counts, because you cannot put a 400-page book into an hour-and-a-half movie with everything that happens. What they did a good job with. They basically are showing you kind of the trial part of it. The introductions are pretty short, and there's certain like romantic plot lines that are just kind of unnecessary, but I kind of understand why they did everything they did and the way that they did it. It was actually pretty good. So I would say if the book is not something you want to check out or think you can really handle, the Netflix movie was definitely one that I recommend checking out, because this subject is just, more people should really know about it. It was truly an amazing book. The women were just pioneers, and just the fact that they had to sacrifice their lives for this is horrible. And just so everyone knows, they weren't taken care of. Of course they weren't. The syphilis one was just absurd. Absolutely absurd. If this is something you have read, I would love to talk to you about it. Yeah, this book was fantastic. It really was. I know that doesn't tell you anything. It's written well. It's also written in a way that just, it reads quickly. It does get a little bit tedious toward the end part, just kind of with everything with the company, but well worth a read. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for being here.